Usually when we hear about a free character, we expect it to be underwhelming or sometimes too complex. To my surprise, Pyrois is none of this. He's actually really fun to play and the damage is really good. Just for reference, this score that you're watching right now is pretty much the same I'm getting with each one. Much like other burst DPS agents, Pyrois uses most of their time outside the stun window to generate resources. For Pyrois, this resource is called Solar Prominence. Once you have 30 or more, you can hold your basic attack, and Pyrois will use an enhanced basic attack that consumes Solar Prominence. It is important to note that most of the damage is concentrated on the third and fourth hit, and that Pyrois is invulnerable while using these moves. On top of that, switching to another character during the third or fourth hit animation does not cancel the attack, so you can use this to maximize your damage score by fielding multiple agents at the same time. Before explaining how you generate Solar Prominence, let's quickly talk about the unique part of Pyrois' kit. There are 4 ultimates. Pyrois can cast the ultimate with a lower decibel cost, and once done, you will be presented with a screen that allows you to select one of 4 different options. Each one has different effects, but basically speaking, the bottom ultimate is the most important one, but you only need to use it a single time. The top ultimate should be used at the beginning of the stun window, and the right ultimate should be used at the end of the stun window. As for the left ultimate, don't think too much about it. The bottom ultimate gives Pyrois a buff that increases their damage by 40% and increases energy generation rate for 200 seconds. This is longer than any Deadly Assault fight, so using it right at the beginning is highly recommended. It also generates Solar Prominence for you whenever you block an enemy using the EX special. It has a really fast animation, but also the lowest damage multiplier, so there's zero reason for you to cast it again through the fight. The top ultimate gives Pyrois a buff that increases the ultimate critical damage against stunned enemies and generates 30 Solar Prominence for you. This is the second highest damage ultimate that also increases the damage of your other ultimates, so using it at the beginning of the stun window is highly recommended. The right ultimate deals a massive burst of damage against stunned enemies, but ends the stun window right after it. Yes, that's the totalize effect, the exact same we have on Hugo, with a really important note. This one does not scale with the remaining stun duration. This is the highest damage ultimate, so you should try to use it on every stun window. As for the left ultimate, it deals more damage to enemies in the contamination state, which is a wind mechanic, and as of now, the only wind character in the game is Velina, which is an anomaly-oriented unit. Maybe once we get a wind unit that can synergize with Pyrois, this ultimate could find some uses, but as of now, you're pretty much only using the top and the right ultimate. So, back to the Solar Prominence generation. Pyrois passively generates 0.5 points every second, but you can generate it by hitting enemies, using your top ultimate, and blocking enemy attacks with your EX special, assuming you already used the bottom ultimate. Each hit of the charged basic attack consumes Solar Prominence, so this means that spending Solar Prominence in the first and second hit is not a good idea, and you should make use of the basic attack skips available in the kit. By holding your basic attack button after a dodge counter, quick assist follow-up, EX special, chain attack, or any ultimate, Pyrois will follow up with the third hit of the charged basic attack. This is much more efficient and faster than simply holding down your basic attack button, and you should always try to use it this way. All of the other moves are pretty standard, so there's no need to explain anything here. These are the most important moves that you need to learn and master. Pyrois' additional ability is also really important and only requires a stun or a support unit on your team. It gives 40% crit damage, and every time Pyrois uses a chain attack, it grants another 300 decibels. Now, before talking about rotations, I want to talk about Mindscapes, as Pyrois is almost unplayable without them. But you don't need to worry about it, as their Mindscapes are completely free. Mindscape 1 allows Pyrois to start a combat with enough decibels to use an ultimate. This allows you to start with the bottom ultimate and get a damage buff for the entire fight. It also gives 8% crit rate, which helps when building your Pyrois. Mindscapes 2 refunds 1500 decibels after using the bottom ultimate once per fight. It also increases the decibel cap, so you can save up to 4000 decibels, which is enough for 2 ultimates in the stun window. Before this, managing decibels is almost impossible unless you're using dialing or Jufufu on your team. Now finally, we can talk about the gameplay and stun rotations. Once again, I am assuming Mindscapes 2 is active when talking about all of this, so if you don't know about Mindscapes, go back a few seconds and don't skip the video again. At the beginning of the fight, use the bottom ultimate. That helps a lot with your resource generation and barely costs decibels. From here, just try to stun the enemy while keeping around 30 solo Prominence points with you. We'll go over both dialing and non-dialing stun rotations so you can have an idea of how it plays. For dialing teams, first check if you have more than 30 solo Prominence points. If you do, start with a chain on Pyrois and cancel it. Use EX Special, then hold basic to use the charged basic attack. Swap to support to reapply buffs if needed, then dialing and hold basic to get the chain upgrade. Use Pyrois top ultimate to get another 30 solo Prominence points and hold basic again for another charged basic. If you need, swap to another support while Pyrois is using the basic attack and finish it up with the right ultimate, triggering Totalize and dealing massive damage. If the enemy stun window is too small and you cannot fit everything, skip the second hold basic, but never skip the final ultimate. If you don't have 30 solo Prominence points at the beginning of the stun, just swap the chain upgrade and Pyrois chain and do everything in the exact same order. The goal here is to fit 2 ultimates, 1 chain, and 2 hold basics in the same stun window. For non-dialing teams, ensure you have close to 3000 decibels before the stun. Start with Pyrois chain and cancel it. If you have enough solo Prominence points, you can hold basic here to do 1 charged basic. Do another Pyrois chain and use the top ultimate. If you still have time remaining, you can do another charged basic here, but if you don't, just finish it up with the right ultimate. The goal here is to fit at least 2 chains, 2 ultimates, and 1 hold basic in the stun window. When building your Pyrois, you should look for the Sky Ablaze disc pieces, as the 4-piece effect synergizes perfectly with them. It gives a total of 10% damage, 30% crit damage, and 10% combat attack after using EX specials or ultimates, something that Pyrois uses a lot through the rotation, so you will easily keep 100% uptime on the effect. That being said, there is another similar option that you can use and also maintain 100% uptime on the effect. Buffer Electro 4-piece. If you have good pieces from old characters, you can use this as a placeholder while you farm the Sky Ablaze. For the 2-piece set, Buffer Electro is your best choice, but Branch and Blade Song or Chaotic Metal are also solid options. You can also use 2-piece Woodpecker Electro if you're lacking crit rate subs, as it is really important to hit 100% crit rate on your Pyrois. Speaking of crit rate, unless you have a lot of crit rate on your substats, your Disc 4 main stat should be crit rate. You're looking for a total of 72% crit rate on your stat page, assuming you're running Soul Exuvia and no Nicole on the team. For Disc 5, penetration is usually the best option, unless you're playing with a lot of defense threat on your team, such as Nicole. And obviously, Disc 6 should be attack, as it is the only offensive option for Pyrois. For substats, once again, crit rate is your top priority until you hit 100%. After that, focus on crit damage and attack percentage for the best damage increase. Flat penetration and flat attack can help a bit, but not as much as the other 2 options. Pyro Signature is the best option for him, but not by a huge margin. It gives 20% crit rate, 30% attack, and if you're Pyrois, you'll also get Ether Resistance Ignore based on the weapon phase. Since higher phases won't increase the crit rate, this weapon is a bit underwhelming and the damage increase for extra copies is almost non-existent. It is still the best option for him compared to other limited options at phase 1. Pyrois is extremely flexible on his team options since the only requirement is a stun or support agent. From my tests and experience, Dialing and Suna are the perfect balance between a strong and easy to play team. Since most of the Pyrois damage happens in the stun window, the increase in the stun multiplier from both units adds a lot of damage to your ultimates. Buffs are easy to maintain since they last for a really long time. If you want to get a bit more sweaty, Nikal should be stronger in the right hands, as it adds a lot of defense shred and even crit rate for Pyrois, which allows you to drop some crit rate subs for more attack or crit damage. But I got heavily skill issued when trying this thing, so I didn't record any runs using it. If dialing is not available, two other stunners have really good synergy with Pyrois. Jufu generate decibels after every ultimate, which can help you maintain 2 ultimates on every stun window consistently. Norma is releasing later this patch and can upgrade a quick assist into a chain attack, which helps Pyrois with decibel generation, just like Astra, which is also worth mentioning here. However, keep in mind that Pyrois relies on chain attacks and stun windows for massive damage, so a stunner in the team is highly recommended. All in all, Pyrois is a nice surprise. I was not expecting a free unit to feel that good and to actually have a good performance. It is not as sweaty as Haramasa or niche units such as Zhao, and that's not to mention that we're still missing Mindscapes on Pyrois. To be honest, my only complaint about Pyrois is the initial cinematic when using the ultimate, as it can get a bit boring over time and breaks the pace of the fight. But that's just me nitpicking, and I still love the character. That's everything for my Pyrois guide. If the video was helpful, remember to give it a like, and if you still have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching this video, have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next time. Peace.